Hey, welcome back. So today for 1,000 subscribers, I will be consulting the I Ching about the future of my channel and the future of YouTube as a little demonstration for how to read the I Ching. And this is not to be flippant or disrespect such an ancient and important text. And really, this is the oldest text in Chinese literature and one of the oldest books in the world, and one that I only came to thanks to the channel Orpheus, Drake at Orpheus. He has a great channel as well, and I will link the video that he discusses this book as well as his great collection of historically important literature from around the world. So just that I wanted to give credit there. This translation by John Minford, there's also a great video on YouTube where John Minford discusses the work. You can look that up pretty easily. And when he described it as a game, a book you can play, I was immediately hooked. And I mean, you can treat it as a game, you can treat it as divination, you can treat it just as reading poetry or wisdom, but I really do find, I've already consulted it multiple times, consulting it is the most rewarding way to experience the different things in it. And I'm of course skeptical of any kind of divination or things. I think at its root, whatever page you turn to in here could match up to something in your life, or provide a good thought experiment for you to consider any issue in your life. Much like tarot cards, a spread of tarot cards will always allow you to draw some connections and meaning from it. Although I don't want to compare the historical importance of the I Ching to tarot cards. This is a book that has possibly toppled or created empires, and so I really want to emphasize that this is just a demonstration, and I'm not meaning to be flippant by the question, the very unimportant in the scale of things questions that I'm asking here. Yeah, essentially we have to start with our question. So how can I best direct my creative energies on this channel? It can be an open-ended question. It can be a yes or no question. The translator gives examples of both in the beginning. And basically the way it works is we're going to build, now using Euro stocks is the old way of doing it, and you can look up how to do that, but we're going to use the coin method. And I'm not even really going to talk about the other one because I don't fully understand it. I've always used the coin method described in here, and the coin method was used in China, from what I could tell, for many generation or long periods of time as well. So we're going to build basically a hexagram, but it's not really a hexagram. We just need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns, basically, I'm going to think of it as, and we're going to throw all 3 coins 6 times to get a number. Heads is 3 and tails is 2. So there are only 3 or 4 possible numbers that can actually come as a result of this. We'll either get 6, 7, 8, or 9. And those are going to correspond to yin or yang, unchanging or changing, and the yin and yang tells us if it's divided or undivided. That was the most difficult part for me to grasp from the instructions in here. And if I do happen to be doing this wrong, please let me know, and I will redo this video if I'm shown to be you know, doing something egregiously wrong. But if it's just a small nitpicky thing, don't worry about it. So that's how we learn, right? So our first number, I throw them in here. We get 3 plus 2 plus 2. So 7 is our first number, and we start building from the bottom. Let's do that. Okay, we got 8. Heads, tails, tails. 3 plus 2 plus 2. Or no. 3, sorry, heads, heads, tails. So 3 plus 3 plus 2. That's where we got 8. Heads, tails, heads. Once again, 3 plus 3 plus 2 is 8. So now we got heads, heads, tails again. So 8. Maybe I gotta shake these better. That one counts. So heads, heads, tails. We get another 8. I just threw them there. And now we got a 9. Okay. So these form 2 sets of 3 numbers. And I may not be using the best terminology here, but it's going to get us our reading. So the bottom triad, basically, or the bottom numbers here, we get 887. Or would it, no, it would be 788 if we're thinking of it that way. I just have to reference this. First, I'm gonna just assign these what they are. So we have old yang, which is changing. And then we have all these 8s are young yins, which are unchanging. And then the 7 will be a young yang, which is also unchanging. So we only got one changing line in this whole thing. It was very close to being completely unchanging, in which we would really only get a small part of reading the entire hexagram. We wouldn't actually read the entire thing. But this is good because we'll get to see like the complete reading. So yeah, the 7 was young yang. So if it's yin, it's a divided line. And if it's yang, it's an undivided line. So we have these sort of 2 sets of 3, how do I say that? You have to think of these as like separate, because we're going to use these to cross-check a chart and see kind of what we get. So we have divided, our first set will be undivided, divided, divided. Because we're reading from the bottom, actually. So since you want to read from the bottom, it would be like, yeah, divided, undivided, undivided. Okay, but pictorially, this makes more sense when you look at the chart, which I'm pulling from the back of the book here. Yeah, so you can see this chart here. Your lower trigram is this one right here that we got, the 788 with the undivided, divided, divided. So we look up what that is. That is Zen, or Z-H-E-N. And divided, divided, undivided is Gen. Of course, I don't know if I'm pronouncing these right, but you then cross-reference Gen with Zhen to get 27. Okay? So we've got 27 is the hexagram that we are going to be referenced. Now, since we have one changing line, this undivided line of old yang, this old yang is going to change to an undivided line like all of these, and so we have to reference a second hexagram that reflects the changes. So we also have to look at kun, which is 3 undivided lines. So kun as well will be kun plus Zhen, because there's no changing line in our lower trigram. So yeah, Zhen plus kun (24). So we have to consult 27 and 24. But of course we're going to start with hexagram 27. So here now at hexagram 27, before I start the reading, I just want to say that there is also a Bronze Age oracle version at the back. So if this doesn't go too long, I will also do an alternate reading using the older version of the I Ching that's also included in this translation. But here we're using the more widely known Book of Wisdom that also is quite old, but not as much as the other one. So yeah, this hexagram, you can see we begin, shows the number 27, and then we have the Chinese symbol for it, the phonetic, which is yi, which means nourishment, and the 2 trigrams that we use to get it are also shown here complete. You know, just to check that we did it right. You can see our sort of divided and undivided lines match what's there. And the 2 trigrams that make up this hexagram are mountain and quake, and mountain is above quake. So the judgment, on the judgment, and on the image of the hexagram, these are the 3 stanzas that make up the heart of the reading. And then we also have, when we have changing lines, we have to reference what each particular line that is changing means afterwards. So if we have no changing lines, but in this case we have 1, we would just stop here. But we do have 1. So let me read the judgment and on the image of the hexagram. To be steadfast is auspicious, hoc bonum, contemplate nourishment, the quest to fill the mouth. And on the judgment, it says, true nourishment is auspicious, contemplate nourishment of self, nourishment of others, heaven and earth nourish the myriad things, the sages nourish the worthy, they nourish the myriad folk. And on the image of the hexagram, thunder beneath the mountain, sub monte tonitris. The true gentleman is circumspect in speech, he is moderate in eating and drinking. And the Latin, there is a reason for that I can't remember. It's talked about in the introduction, but it's just repeating the line that's above it whenever you see the Latin there. Oops. So yeah, this is the heart of the reading, and since we have, I'm not going to try to impose my interpretation too much. I'd like you guys to tell me what you think. This is telling me how can I best direct my creative energies on this channel. I certainly will have my own thoughts and reflect on it, but I'd like to, just for fun, hear what you guys think. To make this somewhat interactive for 1,000 subscribers. So I actually messed up. I'm redoing this because the first time I did this reading, I did yang in the first place. I mean, the first part of the video is the same, but this interpretation part, I had to redo because I started with yang in the first place, which would actually be the bottom of the entire group of 6 here. But we actually have to look at the top, so because that's our changing line, the 9. The 9s and the 6 are the changing. So I have to go to yang in the top place. Here, it says, seek the source of nourishment despite danger. This is auspicious, periculosum bonum. It profits to cross a great stream, magnum fluvium. And then on the image, it says, a great celebration. The translator's note here is, a yang line and yin place. True nourishment is found at the source, in the Tao, writes Richard Wilhelm, following Zhu Zi. To nourish others is a grave responsibility fraught with danger. It justifies the taking of a bold initiative, crossing a great stream. Balance inner and outer nourishment, writes Magister Lu. Nourish others and self. This is the true Tao of nourishment. Well, that could not be more clear to me. But since we do have that changing line, we also have to turn to hexagram 24. And for each of the 6 possible lines that could be changing in this hexagram, we have a modifier like this, sort of a modifying stanza that deepens or gives a different twist on the theme of nourishment of the entire hexagram. So that's why I say the judgment and on the judgment and on the image are the heart of the hexagram, and these changing lines are kind of like modifiers. So now we will look at 24, as we've been given a message of steadfastness, to contemplate nourishment, and the quest to fill the mouth, and the nourishment of the sages, the self and others, and that there must be a balance between nourishing the self and others. So we go to hexagram 24. Because of that changing line, modified the hexagram. You can see here, because of this changing line, this divided now becomes this undivided now becomes a divided. And so you can see that here, and the symbol, and it is Fu, return, or earth above quake. So we've gone from mountain above quake to earth above quake. The judgment here is fortune. There is no injury in going out or entering. Friends come. No harm, nullum malum. The Tao goes round. It returns on the 7th day. A destination, profits, convenientia. And it's very interesting that it states on the 7th day here. I just want to interject, because the first time I did an I Ching reading when I got this book, it actually, the hexagram that I got stated a specific amount of time that was very significant and was like uncannily accurate. And I don't know, I just thought I'd say that. Even though I'm a bit skeptical of these things, it's like that it's telling me on the seventh day, like, should I just do one video a week? I don't know what it's like. I said, you guys interpret. I don't know. It's just for fun though. On the judgment, the firm returns. It moves with the flow. There is no injury in coming or going. Friends come, no harm. Round and round goes the Tao. This is the movement of heaven. A destination profits. The firm prevails. Return manifests the heart and mind of heaven and earth. Mentem coeli et terrae. On the image of the hexagram. Thunder within the earth. Tonitris sub terra. Former kings closed the passes at the solstice. Merchants could not travel, nor princes visit the region. And there's that Latin again, just repeating the lines that are in English in Latin. And now we have a very big block here of interpretation by the translator, or additional kind of commentary. He says, in this hexagram, the inverse of pulling apart, one firm yang line sits beneath 5 yielding yin lines. The yang line is the first of the lower trigram, zhen, quake, movement, while the 3 yin lines of the upper trigram, earth, denote docility and capacity. This, writes Magister Lu, is the return of yang, of the sun which has set only to rise again, which has gone out only to return and enter once more. The Tao moves like this. It recurs in cycles. It moves round, backward, in reverse motion. It returns to the primal state of simplicity, to the root. And I'll just zoom down here where he talks more about interpreting it. As decay reaches its climax, as yin reaches its extreme, then recovery and renewal can begin to take place. Actually, this part above does seem important. He's citing from the Tao and the Power, some stanzas from there. Return to the state of infancy, return to the limitless, to the uncarved block. And chapter 40, return is the movement of the Tao. The yin lines yield before the strong returning line. They are its friends. They are the first steps of the wanderer's return, of the return to roots, to where one should be, a permeating theme in Chinese culture. Once the passes are closed, writes Magister Lu, the attention is more focused and strict. Distracting thoughts no longer arise within. Inimical influences no longer interfere from without. Yang energy cannot leak or be dissipated. This return of yang, of the pure perfection of yang energy, is indeed a pass of life and death. In a Buddhist perspective, writes Zen Master Zizu, this hexagram urges a closing of the 6 roots of the senses, the shedding of attachment, a halt to the traveling of the 6 virtues, a simple focus on the heart and mind of the present moment. All of this is a return. Yang begins its return in the cycle, writes Professor Mun. This return is the initial stage of recovery after a period of stagnation. I have been stagnating a bit lately, maybe. That's possible. The leader of an organization must be able to anticipate these turning points of the cycle and adapt to them. But this message of returning to the root really speaks to me. So I'll be meditating on that, but I don't want to bore you with my personal reflections, even though, yeah, I guess the question, is about me. So, or this channel. I'm trying to take some of the ego out of it, I guess. But just for fun, I guess we can quick look at how this looks in the Bronze Age oracle. And so we have hexagram 27 here, and you can see that in its breasts. And yeah, it's pretty, the picture is pretty clear, right? And the judgment is auspicious augury. Breasts are contemplated. Substance is sought for the mouth. And there's a note under here kind of talking about how this hexagram is referring to the jawbones of sacrificial animals, and to the loose folds of the skin hanging from the throat of live animals destined for sacrifice. And our changing line for that would be oops, I passed it. Our changing line for that would be shaken, breasts, danger, auspicious, prophets to cross, big stream. So the language is much simpler in this this original one. Kind of gets to the point more. Shaken breasts, danger, auspicious, prophets to cross big stream. And yeah, clearly I see where nourishment comes from. The breastfeeding imagery is much more visceral in the Bronze Age oracle, but it's really the same message. And so then if we look at 24, we have also, yes, return, biok. And this is the symbol. Fortune, sacrifice received, going and coming, no urgency, friends come, no harm, back and forth on the way, return in 7 days, profit in destination. And the note here, the old oracle bone graph for the name has been explained as a picture of an underground dwelling with steps leading down into and up out of it, and a foot beneath. Hence, to come and go, to depart and return. This is generally a positive hexagram dealing with various aspects of traveling and the advisability of returning or turning back. Only the top line is unreservedly ominous. Going and coming, return in 7 days. Well, there's no turning back at this point in reading the world. There is only forward or extermination. So, yeah, I like the idea of returning to the roots. Definitely speaks to me, and the idea of nourishment, and yeah, I think a very, without getting too much into my own thoughts, a very appropriate reading from the I Ching for how can I best direct my creative energies on this channel. Through contemplating nourishment and the comings and goings and returnings. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. It's one of those things where I feel almost, any reading might have caused some good meditation, but overall a positive reading, and I hope you enjoyed for 1,000 subscribers, and thank you for following the channel. Much more to come in reading the world, both good and bad, I'm sure, but there's profit and destination as it says, and I'm talking about spiritual profit, nourishment, having just a destination. This idea of reading a book from every country, it was always something to give me focus. It's something that will continue to do so. And while sometimes I wander and think of other ways I could be doing things or spending my time, there's still a lot to contemplate here, a lot to read, and different ways I can go about presenting myself better and expressing myself as best I can on this channel. So thank you and have a good night.